Hello and welcome. My name is NikiMarie. I'm a mental health advocate and a field volunteer for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. You are currently listening to The Balancing Act, where we talk about our highs, lows, and lessons as it pertains to our mental health. We will safely explore testimonies from mental health advocates as well as licensed professionals. We will share validated information about mental health and treatment. While listening to this show, if you are experiencing emotional distress, having suicidal thoughts, or are being triggered by the conversations, please contact the 24-hour national helpline at 1-800-662-4357 and NYC Well Hotline at 1-888-692-9355. If you are in danger or need immediate medical attention, please call 911. You are not alone in your journey of self-discovery and recovery.
Hi everyone, it's Dr. Vijeta Singh, and I'm a clinical psychologist and relationship expert with a practice in New York City where I help people transform and revolutionize their relationships so that they can lead more peaceful lives. Over this past year, I have seen so many people struggle mentally and emotionally, and there's just no denying that this has been a hard year for so many of us. But now more than ever, it's important to pay attention to our emotional health. If you haven't already, please invest in some plans to increase your emotional awareness and your self-care. This really means making a commitment to finding ways to nurture yourself and fill your cup, not just in the short term, but also in the long term. And I ask you to think about what it means for you. For some of you, it may mean watching less TV or news. For others, it may mean reducing your involvement in social media. For some of you, it may mean making a commitment to keeping healthy habits, such as smoking less or exercising more. And for some of you, it may mean being more mindful of yourself and your time each day. Remember that there is strength in seeking help, and it takes courage to acknowledge that you're struggling. So if this is your story, connect with people in your life who are important to you and support you, and lean on them. But because everyone is struggling right now, it may mean that this is the time to get professional help. Therapy is a great way to find support and to find someone who's on your side and who can see things and help you understand your life and how to make sense of it, and also to learn skills to manage yourself better. And I'm only a DM away, so do reach out to me, connect with me on Facebook or Instagram, and I look forward to hearing from you. I wish you health, peace, and joy, and may we all be safe and happy.
So before I get into my section of this show, just wanted to give a huge shout out to Dr. Singh for being a part of this project, and she can actually be reached by email, drsinh@therapycouchnyc, and you can also follow her on Instagram. Let me just plug that in at Dr. VIJAY E as an egg, TASINH. She's on there right now, actually, as we speak. So feel free to message her if you are, going through something, need a little pick me up. And let me talk about my experience with mental health and why this show was created. So as you all know, my name is NikiMarie, and I'm the host of this show called The Balancing Act. And I created this show because I was thinking, how many of us are balancing life, love, health, wealth, and everything else, and trying to maintain? So I created this show as a way for myself to be open about my mental health journey along with others. And as I said at the top of the show, I'm a mental health advocate, and I have a strong passion to change the way people think of mental health. It's not something to run away from, to hide under the covers, but I can tell you that I was living in silence for some time. Back in 2013, I was diagnosed with postpartum depression and social anxiety. For a long time, I didn't tell anyone, didn't tell my friends, my coworkers, didn't tell my family. only a handful of people knew, which was myself, my husband, and one of my coworkers who needed to know because she was my supervisor, and I had to take some time off from work. It was really bad to the point where I was emotionally drained, and I believe it was my doctor who said, "Would you like to be checked into a mental health facility for 2 weeks to do like a recovery process?" And I was like, no, because I don't want to leave my kids. You know, for a lot of us, especially parents, we always sacrifice ourselves for others. And whether it be sacrificing our time, sacrificing our self-care, it's just we want to put our kids before us. We want to put their needs before ours. And going through the process of living in silence was really a prideful moment for me because I didn't want to share what was really happening. I figured people would think I'm crazy, I'm losing my mind. They would laugh at me, they would call me names, they would say I'm an unfit parent. So many things were juggling in my head, and I was ashamed. I just felt like, wow, if I really tell someone that I'm dealing with depression and anxiety, that I would be talked about instead of, hey, this is what you're going through. This is a part of you, and how can I help? That thought never crossed my mind, to be open with my family and friends about my mental health. An advice that I would give to others who are experiencing negative thoughts would be to stop. It's very easy to say stop, but it's not as simple. What I had to do was really sit with myself and figure out why I was depressed, why I was feeling anxious, why I was having these negative thoughts. And it was really just everything that I dealt with in my past, dealing with trauma. And, you know, I couldn't explain why a chunk of my life was missing from my memory until I slowly began to realize that the trauma that I had experienced was the cause of me forgetting certain things that happened. When you deal with trauma, there's so much of you that you want to disappear. And I hope that makes sense, because it never made sense for me. I'm like, what does that mean? What does that even mean? But it's you blocking out something that was painful, and it gets jumbled up with the good memories. And I wanted all of that to stop. Like, I wanted to stop the hurt. I wanted to stop whatever pain that I was going through. And I was being selfish, but didn't think that at the time. But fast forward to where I am now. Where I am now is happier than I've ever been, and feeling complete in my relationship, feeling complete with the steps that I've been able to take to help others. And being a mental health advocate means I'm going to have to hear a lot of the stories. I'm going to have to go back and revisit some of the things that I've gone through. But the best part of everything is actually facing what I was so afraid of. Facing the fact that there are others like me who dealt with trauma, who dealt with emotional distress, who dealt with anxiety, panic attacks. Going through this pandemic, I've been experiencing panic attacks here and there, but I'm able to recognize it and journal and find a book that talks about gratitude. I'm able to come full circle with what I was struggling with for a long time. I went to therapy. I was on medication. I did all the things that I needed, and nothing really helped me other than podcasting and helping other people. That's where I find my joy. That's where I find my happiness. Helping others makes me feel like I have a purpose. Like God put me here to help others. He's like, hey, you know what happens to people that are in your shoes. So why don't you be the help that others may need? And this is your calling, to use your voice. And so here I am, using my voice, going through self-discovery and recovery, just like most of my guests today. And this show will air every Wednesday. So I'm just excited. I'm excited to be out of my box, out of the darkness of where I was, to get to the light of where I am. So thank you for listening. Continue to listen and follow me on Instagram at NikiMarie_radio. Send me an email just to say hi at NikiMarieRadio@gmail.com. And best of all, if you look at where you are today and look where you were yesterday, what improvement did you make? Even if you want to look at the week, what were your lows, your highs, and what lessons came from every single day that you opened your eyes? Be thankful for another day to get it right if it wasn't. Be thankful and grateful for another day that you can smell the fresh air, see the snow on the ground, smell a fresh cup of coffee, and whatever else that you have going on. Just know that you are not alone. You are not alone in your journey to self-discovery and recovery. Thank you. Please continue to listen. There are others who want to share their stories. And if you would like to share your story, again, send me a message on Instagram at NikiMarie_radio or an email at NikiMarieRadio@gmail.com.
I want you to recall when you were a teen looking for your first job. How long did it take you to circle the job and make the call for the interview? For me, I'd sit there for what seemed like hours staring at the want ads of the newspaper and not one job circled nor inquiry made. Why? Anxiety. My anxiety prevented me from taking action. Fortunately, with the prodding of my foster mother to push through my anxiety, I did get that retail job at 16 years old. As technology changed, so did my job search, but the anxiety remained. This time, the responsibilities of life, such as putting a roof over my head to putting food on the table, is what prodded me in my job search. From digital job boards, networking on social media platforms, to hoping a friend would keep me in mind, I searched for jobs that would empower me, allow me to be a change maker, and tap into my courage to be an active part of society, despite my anxiety. My name is Delane Cooper, and I am a mental health advocate. From the time I was a teen, I needed a job that would bring meaning to my life. During my adult working life, I cultivated relationships, learned and worked through the sales cycle, developed and launched brands. Despite the good pay, raises, and bonuses, my heart was constantly weighted down with pain and shame. As a person of experience, from childhood sexual abuse that spanned 7 years, that included my childhood and teenage years, I've had one job for over 2 decades that cannot be found in any newspaper want ads nor digital job board. It's a job that is easy to ignore and few accept it, and that job is called the inside job. Upon accepting the inside job from when I was a teen, there was one colleague that came to the front of the line, and that was my dear friend, anxiety. Anxiety was like the friend or colleague who I invited to come along on a Friday night after work, but tended to bring out the worst behaviors, such as lack of sleep, remaining stuck in a constant fight or flight state, and mostly fatigued. Over time, what I failed to acknowledge was that anxiety became my best friend. What's interesting is that as a person of experience from childhood sexual abuse, I put the onus on others to telepathically know that I was suffering from anxiety. I was always looking for others to be understanding with compassion. At least that was the story I told myself for years, even into my adulthood. It never occurred to me that I needed to do the personal work and change my story. Mary Tyler Moore once said, "You can't be brave if you've only had wonderful things happen to you." At the time, I didn't realize I started the inside job when I was 15 years old with one-on-one therapy and then group therapy. My side hustles were journaling, reading books, and creating art. As the old saying goes, you are the average of the 5 people you spend time with. So I had cultivated new best friends called breathing, meditation, yoga, healthy diet, and journaling. Anxiety is still a friend, and I will admit once in a while still crashes the party like a bull in a china shop. But at least I can breathe through the experience and journal about it. After years of a career in sales and marketing, I had the opportunity to pivot and change careers. It was the beginning of expressing myself outwardly through jewelry and storytelling. For every piece of jewelry I created, I wrote a story to accompany it. The stories represented hope, love, joy, and courage, hoping the men and women who wear my jewelry felt like they could feel empowered and have the courage to be a change maker for themselves and others. Today, I am a dreamatizer and goldsmith who dreams people's stories into jewelry. As a mental health advocate, I am an author, speaker, and co-founder of the Lotus Hero Project, where we improve the mental health of children and adults through art where childhood trauma had been experienced, in particular, childhood sexual abuse. The inside job is an ongoing job. It's an evolution of growth, learning, and being. I share my story because it's important to let others know that I no longer view myself as a survivor of childhood sexual abuse, nor am I a damaged good. There are many of us who are people of experience from childhood sexual abuse, and many of us are active contributors to society. You just don't know their names, but now you know mine. It's Delane Cooper.
As an entrepreneur and empowering lifestyle mindset coach, I've seen how mental health really starts with the way we talk to ourselves, the way we believe ourselves, and how we interpret the opinions that others have over our life is key. This is a day and age that we especially are facing so many opinions coming from us now more than ever, from society, from what you hear on social media, and much of it may or may not be true, but also from what's coming up from our past and our upbringings. I'm NikiMarie, and I speak my truth when I say to get clear on who you are within yourself is truly finding your own inner wisdom that allows you to start tapping into a more fulfilled lifestyle and allows you to carry out what you've been desiring for your life. For much of my own life, being the oldest, I felt like I was under a microscope. And for a while there, I let the opinions of others and the judgments of others closest to me be the compass for what I thought I was. That's till I found my own internal compass and voice. And I became stronger for what was going on inside my own reality versus what was going on outside, instead of second guessing myself. So no matter what age I am, even at 42, I've always had to make it a priority to keep constant reminders to stay within the shift that I started, and a shift past that inner naysayer, to be stronger than the beliefs of others trying to set my own decisions for my life, and to be within a strength for the inner knowing that I set for my truest goals. Making harmony with the past was key. And what I've come to realize is that everyone is living their own realities. It's just up to us to not let others' realities interpret our own individual ones. Staying strong in our own inner wisdom is so important, and it has played a significant role in honing the tools I offer to my clients. Tools are such an important way at keeping us our most strengthened self, no matter what we're up against. And it's my hope to keep supporting others in the work I do, in order for others to keep living their most fulfilled, truest desires.
Quinn Taylor, chronic invisible illness warrior, patient advocate, and speaker. I am the founder of Tailoring Gratitude, where we seek to help those with chronic invisible illnesses to learn how to manage their diagnosis, their illnesses, and also to develop healthy relationships with their illness. Most people with chronic invisible illnesses not only manage their diagnosis, which can include lupus, autoimmune diseases, kidney disease, and things. Because of these, they also manage mental health issues, depression, anxiety, PTSD, different things like this. And also, in my former life, I was a social worker for individuals with severe mental illness. So I am a mental health advocate, and I have been for a very long time. And I do myself manage mental health issues, including anxiety. So advice that I would give to others who are experiencing negative thoughts, this is something I deal with firsthand. And I always tell people, right, it's not fair to yourself to say, I won't ever have another negative thought, because that's just not true. But you do have the choice whether or not to subscribe to that thought. You can choose to let it just move past you. You kind of watch it scroll by, instead of grabbing hold to it and holding it and believing and accepting it. You have the choice of what you choose to tell yourself. You get a negative thought. Your thought says, I'm not worthy. You have the choice to affirm yourself and say, but I am worthy. When you have a negative thought, you can write it down and ask yourself, where does this stem from? Who says this? Am I telling myself this? Which brings me back to, you can affirm your own thoughts and tell yourself what you choose to believe about yourself. Not trying to combat the negative thought or erase it, but instead tell yourself a new belief about what you think about yourself. Resources that I have used during my self-discovery and recovery process includes gratitude. So for a lot of people, that sounds weird, but for me, gratitude really does protect my mental health, because it gives me the chance to focus on something other than myself. It gives me a chance to tap into a different part of myself. And more importantly, it gives me the opportunity to change my perspective. I can get upset that, I feel like I was unfairly given this chronic illness, or I can choose to be grateful that it's changed my life and given me purpose. I can choose to live inside of anxious thoughts, racing thoughts, or I can choose to be grateful that I can tell myself a different narrative. So for me, I am grateful. Gratitude is the tool that I use to help me to manage not only my chronic illness, but helps me with mental health. You can find me on Instagram at Tailoring Gratitude, TAILORING Gratitude. If you need some gratitude inspiration from your gratitude enthusiast bestie, Quinn Taylor. Thank you and blessings.
Mental health refers to the state of our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It impacts the way we feel, think, and act, making it important in all areas of our lives. Thank you for listening to the Balancing Act Highs, Lows, and Lessons. If you would like to share your story on this new show, feel free to send me an email at NikiMarieRadio@gmail.com. Also, connect with me on Instagram and Clubhouse at NikiMarie_radio. Tune in every week for a new show, new topics. The next couple of shows will feature guests talking about toxic masculinity, domestic violence, and nutrition of the mind, body, and soul. In the words of Pastor Rick Warren, your illness is not your identity. Your chemistry is not your character. Have a wonderful day, my beautiful people. Are you still there? Are you still listening? Okay, great. I'm gonna play the trailer for a new family show that I'm working on called The Breakfast Table. So stay tuned for the trailer and have a wonderful week. I'll see you on the next show.
Hello and welcome. You are listening to The Breakfast Table.
Tune in as we have real conversations over Sunday breakfast.
A weekly family show focused on mental health, youth empowerment, and growth and development.
Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. So join us as we laugh,
Eat, talk, and
reflect.
yes, Kobe, you're included.
Hope you enjoy. See you on the show.